Yep. Forget the dirty floor. I need to mop. This, I thought I would show you. Fire ant bites from the other day. Um, there's some in between the toes too. Um, that was very unpleasant. And I'm just gonna do it like this. So hopefully you can see my face. Bible handout update. So I had a nice assortment of Bibles. I took about 65 with me. Whole Bibles, New Testaments, kid Bibles, you name it, pretty much everything. I put up a picture. I made a list of what I was taking. And I brought this cart with me. So, because it's been my experience that the recipients, they like to kind of shop around in my buggy and pick out what they want. That didn't happen today, but people were looking in the buggy as they were walking by and kind of seeing what they had. So there it is. And then I carry this bag on my shoulder. And this is the sign, of course. I actually left the house and got like 2 blocks from the house and remembered, see, another fire ant bite, and had to go back for it. So, ugh. And then this is like my candy bag. I carry all the candy in there. I also had my first aid kit, and I'm not going to disassemble it right now. And this is an evangelism injury. So I'll tell you more about that in a minute. So I got out there, I want to say 1:30ish. I had trouble with the buggy because this style, it likes to wobble a lot, and I'm not an engineer. I'm not good at loading it, but it wasn't happy, and it tipped over a couple times, but nothing spilled. Thank you. So that wasn't fun. But I got to the venue, and there was a mentally ill guy. I'm pretty sure was homeless. And I do profile somewhat. This guy was black, so I wasn't as concerned about him as I would have been if he had been white. And he just basically sat at the bus stop across 2 lanes of traffic from me, shouting nonsense at me for a couple of hours straight. Just would not budge, just shouting nonsense at me. I tried not to listen, and it was very slow starting. I'm not sure why, but it did start to pick up. And my first recipient was a young black lady, and I said, "I've got something for you." She said, "Oh, good." And I said, "I'm not supposed to have this," as I handed it to her. And she's like, "What?" I said, "They told me they were out of stock, but I found it in the Spanish Bibles." And she's like, "Really?" And she's looking at it. Hardback NLT Daily Bible. So I don't know where that came from, but she was happy to get it. And another one I had was I had a lot of Spanish. Spanish is good. And generally, all I have to do is show them the Spanish Bible, and they're like, "Oh, I want that." I had some that, though, they were like, they didn't want anywhere near their car, which is fine. I respect that. It's your house. I'll just go back. Sorry I bothered you. Some cars, they stop like 20 feet away. They won't even come up to the light because I guess they don't want me bothering them or whatever. But I don't do that. I will walk up and down on the median, depending on the median. Some medians you have to do that, like Veterans in Antoine. You have to walk up and down, and there's a long line of cars. You could have like 2 or 3 people handing out Bibles just on one side of the street when it's busy. But the businesses around there are very vigilant, and they will call the police on you, and you have to, explain, "I'm not taking money. I'm literally handing out free Bibles. That is all. I'm not blocking traffic, touching the cars, or accepting cash." Those are the 3 rules. So, so I get that sometimes. And it's interesting, people at the chemical plant, there's only been one occasion where someone from the chemical plant wanted a Bible. Most of the time they get out of that parking lot and they run like hell. It kind of reminds me of the post office processing center. The postal workers were the same. The minute they got out of that parking lot, they just peeled it out of there. That's how Ron got run over. The guy was trying to get home. So, yeah, and I used to make jokes about it, which the postal workers found extremely offensive. I said, well, that's what got Ron in the wheelchair. He got between a postal worker and the door, but, it was true. And I had a white lady. She was about 45, driving an SUV, and she had a biracial teenage daughter in the back seat, and they wanted 2 Bibles. I had another white lady. She seemed very confused. There's a some kind of senior living facility nearby. I think maybe she was affiliated with them. She needs to step up a level on the care, I think. But I got her to take a large print. She was very excited to hear I had large print. And then she said, what do I do now? And I said, well, where were you going? She said, oh, and she laughed. Oh, poor baby. At least she has a Bible. And my personal favorite of the day was the carload of landscaping guys, and I ran out in the middle because they were interested. They rolled a window down, and they're kind of chuckling at my sign. So I got an armload of Spanish Bibles and I ran out to them. I had 8. Later I found them, and they took it all, and then they rolled up the windows and zipped out of there. So that was very cool. That was probably my favorite. And there was a black guy about my age, 50, kind of a older Honda, small car, and which is unusual because guys in Texas, they always want the big thing that eats all the gas. And he said, how did you know? I said, what? He said, I've been wanting a Bible. How did you know? I said, I don't know. I said, but I hear that a lot. God sends me to you guys. And he's like, oh, okay. I said, what do you got? So we shopped a little, in the middle of the street. I got this, I got this, I got this. He took 3, which is cool, so he has a choice of different translations. He got the Amplified Bible, which I think he's going to like. And I did have a look at it. It looks interesting. And I had a young girl and her mom. The girl was about 16, 17 years old, and the mom was with her at the bus stop, which is good because that guy was still going off, pointing it all at me. But he did shut up when he saw the mom, which I thought was interesting. That was the only time he was quiet, is when they were sitting there. And they watched me for a good 10 minutes, and the daughter came over. And I said, and I showed her what I had. I like to do that and say, what would you like? And she said, oh, these are all interesting. And she's going to get this and this. And she wanted the NLT whole Bible and the New King James whole Bible. And I told her the NLT is my dad's favorite version. I said, but my favorite is this one, the New King James. And she said, oh, okay. I said, just read them both. And, you can always pass on whichever one, you're not interested in. She's like, okay, thank you. And, and it just went like that for 2.5 hours, and it was a good day. The only problem I had is that I messed up my hand. I don't know if you can see it, but I nailed it with a bungee. It was not fun. So that when I was packing up to go, I secured the bungee that went across. Bending the hand is not fun. That goes across the top of the milk crates and snaps on the back where the handle is. These are just, ones I got myself. The bungees that came with the cart are not good. So I secured it, and I was doing something, and it came unfastened and ricocheted and snapped me pretty good in the finger. So it's just a bruise. And the good news is I have faced enough on Bible handouts and after Bible handouts that I know I need to bring a first aid kit and some water for irrigation, a towel, a few things like that. So I had the arnica with me, and if it looks this bad with the arnica, I can only imagine what it would have looked like without it. So, but I can work. That's all that matters. So, I did that and got it all strapped up. And while I was strapping it, I saw the bus go by. So So I had to go wait with the drug dealers, one of whom got arrested in front of me, which I thought was interesting. And I handed out a total of about 40 Bibles. I don't keep exact. I know what I left with. I haven't counted what I have left, but it was about 40. It was about 40 Bibles and about 16 scripture booklets in bags of candy. So that was good. And it was a nice day too. It was a little hot, but not too bad. And I woke up with, I just had really bad allergy sinus migraines the last couple of days, but that did abate long enough for me to get out there and do it and come back. So that was good. And I am going to do a little cooking later, but I'm going to take a nap and put something cold on my hand because that's alrighty. That's it. And there we go.